Before I start explaining activity 4 of our PoE, I just quickly want to explain this lesson plan memo, which I've submitted onto VC Learn with the different bodies of knowledge highlighted or in red on this lesson plan. Everywhere where you see these highlighted red text, you leave it in. All right, so for instance, I'm going to just explain what the tip here is. This is the tip, so you're going to delete this tip, and then you are just going to focus on also providing this body of knowledge there and explaining how you would use this body of knowledge when you describe the topic. So this is more than just our normal lesson plan for all the other subjects that or modules where you just give the topic, the grade, and the CAP specific focus. Here you also have to tell why you need technological content knowledge. So say, for instance, our topic is mathematics, space and shape, and specific focus on transformations. I would say for mathematics, space and shape, the teacher needs a solid content knowledge about moving 2D shapes in the following ways: rotation, translation, and reflection. To aid the teaching of this, the teacher would use mathletics during the teaching and learning phase and a Kahoot game as a formative assessment. Therefore, the teacher needs technological content knowledge. So that is how you would address this in your explanation of the topic. This is how you would explain how technological content knowledge is applicable here at the topic. And so you go on by reading what the tip is here and explaining the teaching strategies. I do not want definitions here of what the teaching strategy is. We want the application of how you would apply this teaching strategy to this lesson. All right, so do not give definitions and stuff like that. Explain how you would apply it. Right, so let's go to activity 4. Activity 4 is designing assessments for your lesson. In activity 3, you designed a lesson plan for your CAPS topic that included ways to assess your learners. In this activity, you will be creating these assessments and reflecting on how effective they are in achieving your lesson outcomes. So this activity has got 3 parts. A 4.1 where you design and 2 assessments, 4.2 where you test them as a student, and 4.3 where you reflect on how effective they are in achieving your lesson outcomes in 400 to 550 words. Activity 4.1. Develop a diagnostic assessment of between 3 and 5 questions to test your learners' prior knowledge, and a formative assessment of between 5 and 10 questions to test their progress. So you are going to develop 2 different assessments: a diagnostic of 3 to 5 and a formative of 5 to 10. Use any software app that is suitable for your grade and content. Include feedback to your learner. In other words, display the correct answers and feedback. Copy the questions, answers, and feedback into your Word document together with the web links to the tests. So this copy the questions and answers and feedback will actually be screenshots, all right, that you provide in your Word document, as well as the link to the tests. So that you have to provide a clickable link that will take me to that Kahoot or quizzes or Jamboard or whatever you have used to create this assessment. Bonus points will be awarded if the software app or apps selected in activity 2, where you have done the evaluation, is used to create at least one of the assessments. Right, so for that you get bonus points. Activity 4.2 is where you test each of your assessments by answering the questions yourself, like if you were the student. And you have to provide, that means copy and paste or screenshots, of the test questions and your answers. So for 4.2, we need screenshots of all the questions as well as your answers, which is actually how you have tested it. Screenshots of those. You do not have to give a link again because you have already given the link here in 4.2. 4.1. 4.2, you need to write an honest excuse me, an honest critique of between 400 and 550 words on the assessments from the perspective of a peer reviewer. Reflect on the strengths and weaknesses of each and suggest any changes that you think would best achieve the purpose of the assessments. Justify your suggestions by referring to best practice and appropriate pedagogy. In other words, do the assessments match their purpose and achieve the lesson outcomes? Refer to your textbook, chapter 3 and 6 and 7. All right, so you write an honest critique. In other words, you evaluate these apps and suggest changes that you would think might be necessary. And then you have to justify your suggestions by referring to best practice and appropriate pedagogy. In other words, I do not just want this is not colorful enough, that is not best practice and appropriate pedagogy. You need to really explain to me what you have learned in the module by giving good pedagogical justifications. For 5 marks. Right, so let's just look at the rubric. The development of the diagnostic and formative assessments. The diagnostic assessment are 3 to 5 questions using an appropriate software app. You deserve 1 mark. For that, diagnostic assessment includes display of feedback to learner. The questions are designed to measure prior knowledge. So the diagnostic assessment, you can earn up to 4 marks for the diagnostic assessment. Formative assessment are 5 to 10 questions using an appropriate app. There's feedback to the learner and it measures the progress in knowledge acquisition. For that, you can also earn 4 marks and then 2 bonus points, 2 bonus marks for a software tool that's chosen in activity 2 is used to create 1 or both assessments. So you can earn 2 marks there. Assessment reviewed and evidence provided for activity 4.2. It's tested. You provided screenshots with your student name. The questions, answers, and feedback is visible for the diagnostic assessment. And then for the formative assessment as well, you would notice here that I've just changed the rubric There was a little typo there, so you would earn 3.5 marks for just doing the assessment, as well as 3.5 marks for doing the formative assessment. Right, and then for the critical evaluation of the assessment, the evaluation discusses assessment strengths and or weaknesses. It provides suggestions for changes to the assessment questions. It appropriately justifies suggested changes based on assessment purpose and outcome for 5 marks. So in total, activity 4 is 20 marks.